Hello everyone and welcome back to The Little Quilter. Today we're going to be continuing work on the Produce Section by Elizabeth Hartman. We're continuing with month 9. We've already completed the banana block, so that was the last block that I did for this quilt. You can check that video out if you haven't already. But today we're going to be doing the pear block. I am anticipating that this block is going to be a lot easier than the banana block. There still are a few pretty tiny little pieces, but not as bad as the banana block. And we're getting to use some beautiful green fabrics to make this pear. I am reusing some of the fabrics that they had already sent, so I did have to pull out some of my old sheets to match the colors because I wasn't totally sure, because I don't label the colors. So all of the leftover fabric that I have is just stuck into a plastic bag. So basically, when they send it to me, oh, this is not that plastic bag. Hold on, let me find one. Okay, so basically, whenever they send me my fabric, it always has, or at least for a while now, a lot of places will send it in a big Ziploc baggie. I don't throw these bags away. So I have one bag that's holding all of my extra fabric, and that way all of that fabric is together, and then I have another bag that just has all of the blocks. So all of my completed blocks are all together. They're not being, thrown around my quilting room. I'm not losing them. It's just all nicely laid together, and I think that that is such a great use. Also, if I have any leftover fabric bags, I put my scrap fabrics in them. So another place again to just keep some scrap fabrics, and then whenever I need one, whether that's for, working on my long arm or doing other projects, I can just pull those scrap fabrics out and we're ready to go. So that's just my side tip. Now, okay, so enough of the chit chat. Let's go ahead and jump into making this block. Okay, so now that I've spent most of the evening cleaning the sewing machine, winding bobbins, and oiling the machine, I'm going to call it a night and continue on this another day. I was hoping to get it done earlier so that I could post it this week, but I'm not sure if that's going to happen. So I'll have to restart working on my pairs. Basically, every 10 bobbins on my Brother PQ 1500 SL, I will then do a thorough lint cleaning, wind bobbins, and do an oil lubrication on the entire machine, and then I'll start sewing again. And so every 10 bobbins, and it just kind of varies depending on where I'm at. So and also with the different projects that I'm doing as to when those run out. The other thing that I'm doing, if you noticed whenever I was winding it, is I am using this super large spool. So whenever I first started doing the long arm, I was going to use So Fine Superior Thread, So Fine thread, and bottom line, and then I found Magna Glide and have been set with that ever since. But before, I thought I would be using this color for my bottom thread most of the time. This is bottom line number 624, 500 grams, and so I bought a huge spool of it thinking that I would self-wind my bobbins. Well, I'm not going to let it go to waste, so it is bottom line, so I'm going to use it in all of my quilting threads. Hopefully that will work. And what I've got on top that I have actually started using, let me grab it here since it's not actually connected to anything. So what I have I've started with this spool right here. So this is a new spool, is Superior Threads Masterpiece. And this is a 2500 yard number 186. So just a white thread. I know some people will color match their thread whenever they sew. I routinely just use white. I guess if I had a really dark quilt, maybe I would do that, but I've never really had a major issue with that. I've had more issues with like the fabric fraying and seeing that under the quilt, like the red and white. I had to be really careful with the red and white sampler quilt to make sure I was trying to get all of those little pieces of thread between the batting and the backing and everything. So, but the actual piecing of it, I never had any issue. So, I don't know, do you guys change your thread for piecing, or do you just routinely use the same color? Maybe I'm missing something huge, but I've never really noticed a big difference. Okay, back to the pear block. Okay, so I thought I had really messed this pear up, and I'm going to show you because it's really important as to how you put this block together. All right, so I had everything lined up, or at least the way that I thought it was supposed to be lined up, and I went to sew this. This is the bottom piece of the pear with the top piece, and I was like, whoa. Look how much off we are. I mean, that's a good, that's almost like a half an inch off. And definitely, if I sewed it that way, is not going to look right. And I thought, well, I could just try and line it up in the center and that would be fine. And then I just took a moment looking at everything and realized I need to turn it this way. And look how much that lines up better, right? That's the way it's supposed to be, right? So just a note on that to make sure that you line your pear block. The bottom of the pear needs to be lined up correctly because this is not a square, this is more of a rectangle. But once you add these corner pieces to it, it really gives just that optical illusion that it doesn't look as rectangular as some blocks. Like this is obviously a rectangle, but this looks it's a little bit harder to see that with these corner pieces on there. So take note of that so that you don't mess up. All right, everybody, we have finished the pear block here, and it turned out really well and didn't take that long. So it came together really quickly. There were several little small pieces, but nothing too bad. And then this really nice end to it where it's just a nice straight border on that edge is really makes it just easy to end it off with. So a few of those, but really because of this bottom part, it came together so quickly, and I think they turned out really well. I'm really happy with these corner pieces right here, and I'm pretty sure that pretty much all of them turned out really nicely there. And I feel like that's kind of the big part of this block, is those edges lining up. So just make sure, like I said, that you orient this block right here in the correct direction. And you'll know if you haven't, because when you line it up, it is off with this part. It is not the same dimensions at all. And so if you line it up and you're like, oh my gosh, I did a horrible job, which is what I thought, then just take a moment, turn your block sideways, do a little 90-degree turn, and you might be like, oh, never mind, I'm totally fine. So that's my tip for this block. Otherwise, this is the Pear Block. I love it. It's super cute, and I hope that you guys have enjoyed it. This is our end of month 8 for the produce section by Elizabeth Hartman quilt. I'm super excited to move on to the next part, and I hope that you guys stick around and enjoy it as well, and we'll see you next time. Have a great day.